Recorded live from the unfinished loft project of Des's home just outside Brighton in Sussex, welcome to the £200,000 to £100,000 Challenge podcast. This is your no thrills, no BS, and absolutely no get-rich-quick or passive income promises hub. Hosted by your man, Des Hamilton.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the show. We are back in the usual swing of things after last week's little break from the norm because we hit the 1 year anniversary and the Ask Me Anything session. Now that seems to have gone down really, really well and I really enjoyed doing it. So I'm quite happy to do one of those. Let's call it every 6 weeks or so. We'll have a little stop from the interview thing and we'll do an Ask Me Anything because this thing is so dynamic in the way that it's working. God knows where we're going to end up in a month's time. You may have known and you may have seen my post on TikTok last week highlighting the 1 year goal and saying that we are now well over £22,000 1 year on from £200. And it is just incredible to look back over the year to see where I've come from. Because I was sitting here in this kitchen when I made that first post. And it's the Tory party conference right now. And the current clown in charge is just about to make a hash of everything. But it was a year ago after the last Tory budget when I decided that was enough. That was enough time to change my life up. And look what's happened in a year. And it's been solid graft. I've worked every day, 365 days, solidly, running 2 jobs, having a baby, building a Facebook group, building a YouTube channel, building a bigger community, writing books, creating mentoring courses, delivering them and receiving 5-star reviews. Thank you very much. And it's scary to think of what's next because when I took £200 and that TikTok channel, I never dreamed in a million years that we would get to over 70,000 on that one channel alone. And I never dreamed to have 20 grand. I could only dream for 5 grand because that was my target for a year. But it's amazing how things snowballed and you've got to leap on those opportunities. And it all comes down to that law of attraction thing. It all comes down to that manifestation thing. I believed in it, put myself out there and I went to make it happen. And when opportunities came, I responded because I was looking for them for the first time. It's that age-old thing. How many red cars did you see on your way to work today? You won't notice, will you? But tomorrow, if I said to you, have a look about how many red cars there are on the way to work, you would start counting them because you're looking for them. So open up your periphery. Start thinking about what's out there, what opportunities are out there that I haven't jumped on before. Because the answer to your problems could be something that was there this whole time. And look where it's led me. And it's led me here talking to you. So hello. Before we get into the interview, we're back with Kamal and Seyi this week, and we're going to finish the second half of that, having finished the first half the week before last. This week, we're going to go much more into how Kamal and Seyi run their business practically, steps that they can take, advice they can give, software that they use, and things that they've got going on into the future. Now, it's no spoilers when I tell you this, is that they're not just Amazon sellers. They're looking to branch out and take on other income streams. And it got me thinking, because what happened as a result of last week's TikTok is that everything blew up and the gods of social media decided they liked me that week. And we ended up with well over 350 new people in the Facebook group, which was lovely. But a question came up. And the question was, with the recent launch of another FBA group last week, which is backed by a number of TikTok sellers who combined are multiple 8-figure sellers, do you still see FBA as a long-term business? Or is there a reason why more and more sellers are also selling Discords, mentorships, courses? Even the admins on this Facebook group, Steve and I, we've branched out to other revenue streams. Is this because there's not enough long-term viability in this game, or is FBA the stepping stone to other things? And it's a really good point, and it started this discussion of mentoring. Let's talk about gurus, first of all. The term Amazon guru, for me, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's like the term chav. No one can describe what a chav is. No one can describe what a guru is. But it's a mechanism to run down someone else without any definable features, without anything that can define that person of being such. What can you say? If someone says that person's a chav, why are they chav? They can't actually describe it. I think the one defining characteristic is Burberry. What? Well done, you buy nice designer clothes. That's not what a chav is. No one can define it. No one can define what a guru is. No one calls themselves a guru. There's so many negative connotations about that phrase. People like to say, oh, you sell a course, you must be a scammer. Why? Why? Let me tell you what took me down that path. You all know from my first post, if you've been following me for a while, I never aimed to sell a course. I never did. But I sat a course, I sat a second course. And then I thought, you know what? I can do better than this because I'm qualified. And anyone that starts an e-commerce business will tell you to play to your strengths. That's exactly what I tell you. Why wouldn't you? Play to your strengths. Yes, you sell on Amazon, but if you want to build a business, you need to do the things you're good at. So write down the things you're good at and build on those. Well, it just so happens the thing that I'm good at is training. I'm a TAP certified, qualified trainer. I've been doing it for 13 years. Now, it just so happened coincidentally that the one thing I'm good at is the very thing that's really toxic when it comes to Amazon selling and mentoring on TikTok. It's just unfortunate, but that is my strength. And the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. Let's not get that phrase wrong. A lot of people do. Look at the reviews that I've had. They all highlight the fact that I can break down complex things into simple messages, which is what a trainer should do. So I wanted to highlight that bit first of all. That's what led me down there. Now, that's not to say that I haven't got other income streams, and I make no secret of this, because if you want to run a successful business, what's better than one income stream? 5. I mean, why not? Because the key in building a business, an e-commerce business, is diversification. I mean, we talk about Amazon stock and we talk about go wide, not deep on your products. Make sure you can diversify your product range so you're not specific in any one brand or any one category. Why is it different for your business? Diversify your business. It's volatile. E-commerce is volatile. Putting your eggs in one basket, it's not just unwise, it's risky. Think about it. If something happened to Jeff Bezos tomorrow and then a new lunatic decided to come in and take over Amazon and go, you know what? I don't like third-party sellers anymore. Wallop. That is one income stream wiped out. And if you only sell on Amazon, that's you out of the game. Why would you leave it to chance like that? And if you think that won't happen to Amazon, how's Twitter doing? Having multiple income streams, it's not just a sign of distraction or a dilution of quality. It's been a strategic move of mine to build financial stability and resilience because we're entrepreneurs. And when you're entrepreneurs, you're making things up and all you've got left to drive you is your imagination, which leads to innovation. So we don't just adapt. You want to anticipate. So you're all ready to have contingencies in place should one thing fall down. So when you do see Amazon sellers like me offering additional services and products, it's not diversification, it's growth, it's expansion, and it's strategic, and you're ready for whatever the future holds. But when it comes to buying courses and when it comes to selling courses, you have to question, where does the onus of responsibility lie? And you could argue that this onus of responsibility, it lies on the seller as much as the buyer. You need to equip yourself. So me, as a seller, I make it my mission to be utterly transparent about what it is I offer. I offer a free phone call. You can speak to me for 15 minutes and I rattle on at you for 15 minutes and I lay out exactly what your course would look like, what we aim for you to achieve and how we do it, including the aftercare. And you get that for free before you lay a penny out. And we only charge hundreds, not thousands. Now, if you're laying out thousands of pounds, isn't it your responsibility to really check what you're buying? You wouldn't just buy a sofa from the window, would you? You'd go on it, you'd sit on it, you'd ask questions about it, you'd check if you can get insurance on it. Why is buying a course any different? This is knowledge after all. Whoever's selling you a course should be ready to answer these questions. What is the course? What does it involve? What is the objective for me as a buyer? What are you going to do after the course finishes? What topics are we going to go through? Simple stuff, right? So the onus is on the seller to provide that information, but the onus is on you as a buyer as well. Because if you say, right, I know what I'm accepting from this course and I know what I'm expecting from this course, if you then sit it and you don't meet the objectives, you've got every right to say you are getting a bad review and I want my money back, please, because you didn't do the thing you sold me. That's really important. It's still a contract exchange. I also just want to mention as well that it's worth highlighting the perception versus the reality, because I see the group of people that you're talking about, fair play to them. There seems to be a move now into subscription-based learning, which is great. I am a member of the Hive. I'm going to go into detail about Hive soon because I'm having Natalie Cromie come on and be a guest on this show. And she's part of the Hive as one of the trainers. It's a fantastic training tool. It really is great for advancing methods, but we'll talk about that in more depth lately. However, the other one, of course, is out there. You would have seen it. If you can see me on social media, you can see a handful of people talking about this group that they offer on a subscription-based thing. Fair play to them. But again, perception versus reality. It feels like when you go on there, all you're seeing is Amazon sellers selling courses because that's what you're looking for. And TikTok, if you found me, TikTok's going to say, you like that guy? Have a few more of them. And they're going to throw everyone at you that's on TikTok as an Amazon seller selling a course. Me, and they might not be offering the same sort of things I'm offering, but TikTok don't know that. They're going to throw this at you. So you're a victim of the algorithm. So it feels like, my God, everyone's an Amazon seller. Everyone's selling a course. Everyone's a guru. And it's rubbish. There's actually a really small number of us doing it. Really is. And then it's on you to ask the questions to see whether it's suitable for you. But don't get angry about it that other people are daring to grow, because I can also promise you this: running a course is not easy. It takes hours, and there's so much responsibility. And when I've got 25 people every month asking me questions based on the course, think how much time that takes Steve and I up to do. I mean, Steve and I went into this together after a few months because I couldn't do it on my own anymore. The demand was too high. Back to Kamal and Seyi. Let's get back into the interview. So as of last time, we broke it off just as I was about to ask them about their challenges. We'd already figured out their mindset was impeccable. And now we're going to go into their challenges and figure out how they adapt when things don't quite go their way. Let's roll it. See you on the other side. When we talk about challenges and get into where you've got to, what sort of challenges are you working with at the moment?
Yeah, it's still like, that's the thing. It's still a struggle to find good suppliers. Like, we go through what everyone goes through, because at the end of the day, probably one of our most popular questions, like how do you find suppliers, or how do you first? And I think people need to understand is that, like, even though we're at our level in Amazon, we're not that much different from the supplier's eyes when we get in touch the first time, because all they see is kind of just like an Amazon seller. Maybe when we get on a call or something like that, they can, we can maybe we have more experience to talk about Amazon in a bit more detail. Maybe that can help, but it's still hard opening accounts. You still get rejected the exact same way. I was saying to Seyi the other day, I applied for a US account. When they asked the different categories, like what's your salary, what's your revenue, what niche are you in, blah, blah, blah. I asked, all the questions that I answered were like at the top of the category. So that our revenue was at the top of the category. Everything seemed good, and the account still got declined. Yeah. So just kind of shows that, like, it's just not easy. It doesn't really make a difference. And then even finding suppliers just isn't easy, because like wholesalers and distributors, they don't really market themselves.
No.
On Google, they don't spend money on PPC or their SEO or anything like that. They're just kind of hidden. So
none of them
you
use
really
social media.
Yeah. They're never on social media. Hardly any of them's on LinkedIn. So it is sourcing is the hardest part. That is what makes Amazon hard. Finding products.
But funny enough, we're getting into wholesale now. I think my budget's enough that I can start making a dent and just start sort of treading into the wholesale waters. And the first thing I did was Google wholesalers near me. Yeah. And I found a load on Google Maps that never had exactly like you said, that didn't have a website, that aren't anywhere local. So I'm going to go down and knock on doors. I think that's just the first way it can go. They can always say no, can't they? But it's worth a go.
Starting locally is a good idea. Knocking on doors is definitely a good idea, because at the end of the day, if everyone is just going down the same route of emailing and trying to call, but if you physically go there, I guess that you can't really get ignored if you're directly in front of someone. So that at least solves that issue.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny, when I dropped my boy off to school, one of the dads come up to me and went, I saw you on TikTok the other day. How are you getting on? I sort of spoke to him, and he went, I'm a wholesaler in smoking products. Oh, you beauty.
Yeah. And that's what's good about being on social media as well. I mean, that wouldn't have happened to you if you wasn't, you don't build your online brand.
Exactly right. But it is weird when people come up to you at the kids' school saying, I know you. So talk us through your first big win, when you were getting going and you think, you know what, I think we've hit the jackpot.
I'm going to say that our first major win. So we've had big wins on individual products, but our first major win was literally when COVID happened. Yeah. Unfortunately, we were just lucky, or some say it's positioning. But during that time, so most people that sell on Amazon now that we engaged with wasn't selling during COVID, and that was an insanely very bad and very good time to be an Amazon seller. So very bad for 90% of Amazon sellers, because Amazon stopped you from you couldn't send any products into FBA because they are allowing essential products due to COVID. Yeah. We were extremely lucky because we was in the health and beauty niche. So a lot of our products fell under the essential categories.
Right.
We had this product we was importing. It was like a hair oil, and it was so expensive to import. You had to pay £2,000 for a pallet. Wow. Now we maybe pay that same pallet £600, £700, maybe £800. So it's super expensive. But the product, I think we was making £2-3 a unit, but we were selling like hundreds, 200 a day.
I think the most was like 400 in a day.
So what was like our first time where it felt like this is, I was about to say it felt like this is unreal. It literally was unreal because it wasn't the normal situation. But that was like the first time that it felt like we can't go wrong. Like all it was about was how quickly can we get product in. And it was just, an extremely lucky situation despite the circumstances.
Yeah. Do you remember where you were when you refreshed your screen and thought, my God?
Probably in Big Yellow.
Yeah, so we used to use, I don't know if people know, but we tried to tell them we used to use Big Yellow storage for all of our products, and products got delivered there. And I think it was just one time at the end of the day after just getting the products ready that we just looked at profit and we were like, this can't be real. And it must have been like £700-800 in that day profit. It was just like, oof. And I think we were prepping some more to go out, and it's just like, oh, this is just going to keep continuing. But yeah, COVID was, as Kamal said, an unbelievable time.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine. I didn't know that they restricted an awful lot. That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's it was rough as well because I was about to say limits, but
that's what I was going to say. There's 2 times that Amazon has done.
They've done crazy. So as Kamal said, during COVID, it was literally only essential products, which they obviously decided what was and wasn't essential.
Yeah, of course.
A little bit of time afterwards, Amazon started putting in the limits on how many units you could send in, because there just wasn't limits before that. So you could just keep sending in product to Amazon forever.
Yeah.
Restriction on how many. And then there was a period where they kind of lowered how many you could send in. But I think at the time we had like 20,000 units in the fulfillment center, and Amazon lowered it to around 12. So until we sold out of 8,000 products and more, we couldn't send any in.
Wow.
That lasted a long, that's still going on now, right? Like they still have limits.
Our theory was they've done that because everyone was using Amazon as a storage facility. So they had a problem with the fact that people were sending stuff in, and some people didn't even care. Still paying long-term storage fees. By inputting these limits, it made everyone start saying, okay, we need to focus on sell-through again. So, and I think they've successfully done that.
Definitely.
Because it changed us. It changed the way we looked at Amazon.
That's incredible. So when we talk about your operation, you've just moved into a new warehouse.
Yes.
Are you on track for your goals, or are you exceeding things at the moment?
We are we're fairly on track. The thing that has been difficult is because we've moved to a whole new location, we're having to build an entirely new warehouse team. So that is something that we didn't anticipate how hard that would be, in the sense of not the hiring, but where we're in such a bigger facility now. There's a level of renovation it needs. There's, the offices need furnishing. There's a foyer, there's a meeting room. We need, furniture for there. And there's, we need signage up. There's a lot more extra stuff that we need. But then at the same time, products still need to get into Amazon.
Yeah, money has to.
And then at the same time, we still need to manage our VAs. So there's a lot going on at once that makes it feel like there's not progress, but there's definitely a lot of progress.
Talk us through your setup at the moment. You're 2 companies, right?
Yes. Yeah. One kind of focuses on health, beauty, and kind of everything. And then the other one is just food.
Classic wholesale stuff. That's great. What sort of team have you got?
So myself and Seyi, so we run the businesses. Then we got a warehouse manager who's still with us. And then usually, so the team will be building in here. We'll have a couple of warehouse porters, a couple of like warehouse operatives that will just be doing on all of the core prep. And then on the back end, we have VAs. So for the healthcare business, like health and beauty business, we have just one person essentially now it's 2. We have one person that does wholesale. So they source all the products and everything like that. We have someone that's a new hire that she's going to be doing all of our sort of reconciliation. So inventory reconciliation and opening those sort of cases, just tracking all of our inventory. We can talk a bit.
Yeah.
And then we have someone that works on marketing, so PPC. And then for the food business, we have another product sourcer, a reconciliation person again.
That's incredible, guys. That's incredible. Could you imagine that when you were sitting in Starbucks? That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. No, to be honest, like we actually couldn't. And to be fair, like some people think that we would have way more VAs for our wholesale side of the business. I mean, really, it's really run by one VA.
Yeah.
Mainly.
Wow.
You know, I think we've had like mentoring calls with some people, and the level that they're at, and they have like a team of 4 or 5 VAs, and we're always just kind of thinking it's definitely overkill. Like, you can have 1 or 2, and they can scale quite a big business.
If you train one well enough, they can do a significant amount.
So when did you hire your first person?
2019. I think it really was just so her role at the start was literally just sourcing.
Yeah.
She was actually really good, to be fair. We made a lot of mistakes. I mean, with hiring VAs, I think there's different ways everyone can do it. But you know, the things that we kind of have learned is you can't just let people work how they want. That's just regardless. It's kind of when it's your company, you kind of need people to kind of operate the same. And at that time, I think it was a thing of we just had never hired, so we just had someone come in and, you know, work how they want to work.
Yeah.
And over time, obviously, you know, when you come in, we now do training for like the first 2 weeks with you. But back then it was just kind of like, hey, open accounts for us, find products. We'll catch up with you sometimes. And yeah, just kind of, work.
No, you're right. That's really interesting, because if I put myself in your shoes, I'd be exactly the same. You go into business for yourself thinking, well, I'm in charge, or I'm going to be this, and I'm not going to be the boss that does this, this, and this. But when you get staff in, you get them in for a reason, right? And eventually you grow not just as a business owner, but as a boss as well, I guess. Yeah,
I think that was, I mean, none of us had managed before. So it was the whole new experience having to do meetings regularly. And we've been on both sides of the scale. So at the start, it was like we meet maybe once a week or once every other week. And after when we hired the next one, it was like once a day, and realized that was overkill. And then we're obviously at a point now where we have set meetings, and aside from that, if we need to jump on a meeting, we'll jump on one. But yeah, you obviously grow into the learning how to manage people, and everyone's different as well, different problems and strengths and whatnot.
So when we got all these stuff, what sort of softwares are you guys using at the moment?
I love this question, because like we are so unsophisticated when it comes to our software usage. We hardly use any software. So our VAs, for when they're product sourcing, all he uses is Keeper.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, like, and do you know what? We've let him, and it's not because like, you know, we're cheap or anything. Like, we've let him like trial other softwares, and he's just, if you're not going to, we're not going to invest in software if you're not going to use it.
No, quite right. And Keeper can do the job. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, Keeper, at the end of the day, at the core, it can do the job. We have Helium 10, so we use that for private label.
Yeah.
And then we have Scan Unlimited. We don't really scan that much anymore, but it's still there. What else do we? We use Sellerboard for tracking and data analytics. And other than that, and then we have a price and so.
So you mentioned the Helium 10 for private label.
Yes.
How long have you been in that market as well?
About 3 years now.
Really good stuff. And that's going well, is it?
Yeah, so we've, as with everything, it's changed how we've done it a lot. When we started private label, I think it was just us realizing we kind of need to start private label. I mean, the goal was always to put wholesale money into private label.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, I don't want to say overcomplicated, but starting private label, I think if you get 100 different people, they're all going to start in different ways. We didn't really know how to start, and we got a VA in to just start for us. And it was funny because looking back, we shouldn't have done that. We should have just started ourselves. But her product that she got from like 3 years ago is still selling today. But,
is it really?
But that is the only one.
Yeah.
Every other one didn't do well, and we've kind of learned. But then we kind of started creating private labels, and the ones that we've started have been going really well.
How many have you got in at the moment?
I'd say we have 9 or 10.
Yeah, 9 or 10, and we have one which is probably our biggest investment in terms of one that we're doing that's hopefully coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, around 9 or 10, and in general, kind of they're all going pretty well.
That's amazing. And which sort of markets are you working in at the moment?
So in the UK, we used to sell Honey U as well. And then we're about to get out to the US.
I remember when we used to sell in the EU, it was just amazing. Just competition's like was extremely low, and
Really?
So like you could use Panny, but then stop. Realize you could just send stuff directly to the fulfillment center, which obviously is obviously a bit more expensive. But with Panny, I don't know how it works right now, but back then Amazon would just move your units around the whole of the EU.
Let's talk about your socials, because your TikTok following is growing, isn't it, every month? How are you getting on with all of that?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to just, post consistently and add value. We just do it for content's sake at the end of the day. Genuinely, is to kind of put information out there that we wish we had. Struggling, in all honesty, with time right now. Because we used to do like a lot of TikTok lives and things like that, but because of the move, it's been a bit of a struggle recently. But it's something that we definitely do want to get back into properly and aggressively grow again.
I've got to say, when I found you guys, you're the only ones that I found in the wholesale market that give tangible advice, proper advice, like this is how we do this, this and this, rather than the washy, oh, you can do this if you just followed my method. Because you offer a service as well, you guys, don't you? You've got your ebook, and do you do mentoring?
We can do consulting calls. So if someone just has loads of questions and they just want to jump on the call for an hour, we'll do that.
Nice.
We don't do full-on mentorship at this stage, just because we feel like we don't have enough time to kind of take someone through the growth, process. It might be something that we do at some point. We was also thinking about doing something for sellers of a certain level, because I think that's something that's forgotten about. Just because you're doing, maybe over 30K a month on Amazon in sales, that doesn't mean that like you have all the answers and you know everything. So there's not much like when you have like a high level question, there's not much resources to go for those people. So now in today's world, there is a lot more resources for, I guess, people starting out. But yeah, so in terms of services, everything that we have outside of our consulting calls is free.
So you call yourself the Honest Amazon FBA Guide. What was it that you felt needed addressing when you saw what people were being told information-wise? When you approached the wholesale selling model, what sort of things do you think, we might need to put that right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was just the thing of just like you can just start wholesale with like £200. I think as we kind of spoke about, little money. But obviously not saying that it's not possible, but I guess setting the expectation and being realistic about it. We tell everyone like you can start with £200, but it won't stretch far at all.
Definitely.
And you won't get any big disbursements. You'll need to wait to sell out, and it won't be the best thing to do. And kind of just saying, at the end of the day, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to start Amazon, but saying that it probably makes more sense to start with odd, which most people kind of are. Mm-hmm. I think that's always one of the biggest things when it comes to wholesale.
I think also like just similar to that, like profit expectations. So
yeah.
I done a video recently on how much money you'll need to make £1,000 a month, where I kind of break down, okay, if you want to make £1,000 a month, how much we need to spend on inventory, what we actually need to spend for your setup, for your printer and everything like that, just to give people a realistic idea of how it actually works. Because I know in your head, it feels like, okay, I'm starting with £500. I should be able to make £1,000 a month. But once you see it written down, you start to see how unrealistic that is.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's a really good point. The first few months are so painfully slow, especially when you get into things like the account reserve. And then again, once you get VAT registered, now I'm not VAT registered yet, but I should imagine the ROI plays up a little bit once you get VAT registered, I guess.
Yeah, it does drop, and it is a question that I think when people ask, should I or shouldn't I think it's a tough question to answer for reasons. I think the first one is when they asked us what did we do, we were just VAT registered from the start, so we felt any drop in our profit when we were just always VAT registered.
Fair enough. Nice. Yeah.
The second thing is just kind of balancing. If you're not getting VAT registered and taking less profit, to the reality with a lot of wholesalers sometimes is they ask for VAT numbers. And the reality for some of them anyway is they just won't accept your account if you don't have a VAT number.
You want to tick those boxes because if you get rejected for something as simple as that, you can kick yourself.
Yeah, and it's not, you can't always just reapply immediately, which can also be frustrating with some of these wholesalers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You want to put your best foot forward the first time.
Yeah, yeah. Has there been any that you've sort of accidentally burnt bridges with?
I wouldn't say burnt bridges, but there's a couple that, I mean, there's one that we apply for like every single year and just haven't gotten counted. Every time they always change. No, to be fair, they've never changed the requirements, and every year we have more of the requirements. I mean, we have all of it right now. Yeah. And they're just like, no. So, yeah.
Strange. Just got to roll the dice, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing we try and tell people. It's like, you know, like you will get rejected from wholesalers, and it's just part of the game, really.
I think that's important because every interview that I've done and every person that I spoke to, it always comes back to resilience. Always. All right. So what we've got this time is a fairly new thing. Actually, it is a new thing. I put a few questions out to the Telegram group that I'm in saying, look, I'm speaking to you guys. What sort of questions would you have? And the thing went nuts. Honestly, the page went nuts for about 15 minutes. Now, it was like 9 o'clock last night. And I thought, oh, no, I should have done this earlier, but never mind. So I've got a few audience questions, just a couple of quick fire ones, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so number one.
We would just say, like, once you've got at least a couple of grand to open an account, then I think you're good to start at that stage.
Yeah, nice. So what have you found the most common reasons to be from a wholesaler when they've rejected you?
Big ones is not VAT registered, some of you haven't been told, but like not looking professional enough. So as you said, like not having a website and whatnot, and sometimes just selling on Amazon. It just comes with the game, unfortunately, being an Amazon seller.
Yeah, that's it. And the common one, and I know the answer to this, but the common one is, would you lie to a wholesaler and say, no, I don't sell on Amazon?
Yeah. Funny, I done a video on that literally yesterday, because we always tell the truth now. I think with wholesalers and distributors, you don't need to like go into it saying it, like you don't need to like wave a flag, but if they ask, you definitely should tell the truth because it will cause problems at some stage.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you're going back, you're right, even though money is king in here, you still do need to build a relationship with these people, and a direct lie is never a good thing, right? Yeah, that's it. Are there any wholesalers out there that you guys know, and obviously we don't need any names, that also do the prep and the shipments to Amazon on your behalf?
None that we know or have a relationship with, but funnily enough, it would be a good time to say it now. So we're actually going to be offering prep services to a lot of our followers going forward. So I'd say from next month, we'll be fully set up, and we're going to offer that as a service, simply because since doing the social media, we've kind of realized the position that most people are in, like what I mentioned before, where you're growing your Amazon business, but it's at the point where you need to now get a warehouse. And if you work a full-time job, it's a bit difficult to then have a warehouse because you're not kind of always there for deliveries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to offer services all the way from, some people may just need an address to send their deliveries to, and some people may want full prep and everything sent into Amazon.
To what extent have you, and would you, leverage your operation with credit?
Oh, yeah. The minute we started getting credit accounts, we did. It's actually funny because Kamal and myself have slightly different personalities. I remember Kamal was like, no, we have to use credit. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable just doing that. And eventually you just have to realize that it is one of the easiest ways to grow because it's interest free. I would tell everyone to use credit if they can.
But as you said, the key is once you get to a certain level and you kind of know what you're doing, definitely don't go into a new account, get the credit, order a load of products on credit, unless you know you're very confident that it's going to have a good sell-through.
It's a full-on education, this building business stuff. I tell you, it's really interesting.
Yeah, you learn a lot, even like just selling on Amazon, you learn a lot about business, which we have.
So in your experience, you guys, what has been the obvious downsides that you've seen in the wholesale model?
I would say one of the biggest ones is competition. I think not being the owner of the brand. So that's combined. So like not being the owner means that you're always going to have competition, and naturally competition is going to get larger and larger. So it's because of that downside, you need to try and create some sort of edge for yourselves. Try and create some sort of unique selling point that you can have that other sellers won't necessarily have.
Yeah, just to add on to that as well, I think in times of like inflation, that's what also makes it really difficult to compare competition. You know, your prices from wholesalers are increasing, but the Amazon prices are getting lower. So how do you people ask us all the time, what do you do about that? And I mean, It's an open market. There's not much you can kind of do to fight that. So that's definitely one of the things that gets annoying.
And what we've done in the past is we had our own website like what you've done, and it was within a niche. So when we approached brands, we just looked like specialists in their niche. And that was one way that we set ourselves apart quite easily back then.
That's great. All right, guys, I think that will be a good enough time to press pause for now, and we'll definitely have you back on board if you're willing to come back on.
Yeah, no, definitely. Good questions.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot for your time.
But yeah, honestly, thank you for having us, and if you will, definitely would want to be back.
Well, there you go. Honestly, those two boys are great. I can't understand for the life of me why they're not more popular on their socials and why their numbers aren't through the roof. They give out such practical knowledge, such great tips, and they honestly mean well and know that they can help other people get to where they are. You can't say fairer than that, can you? To give them a follow, I'll put their details down in the show notes for you to have a gander at and for you to click along and see what they've got to say. And I think we'll wrap up, because I went heavy on the top of the show, and I think that'll be enough for today. Before we go, I am going to throw out my tip of the week because this one's important. Tip of the week. Be mindful of the people in your network who are competing with you. What do you expect people to do? Sometimes people get quite insecure when they see other people doing well, and they almost take it personally. And I can't understand that. The whole point of Amazon, it helps people work from the ground up, and it shows you what people can do with continuous graft, persistence, resilience, and it should be rewarded and it should be celebrated. Competition in this game is massive. It's on us to navigate that. It's on us to pivot left when everyone else goes right. But what we don't do is get waspy to the people that are doing well. If people share their success with you, don't say, well, you're bragging, congratulate them and strive to be like them. If I haven't got a halo yet, I deserve one. Tip of the week. All right, that'll do it, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, we got a special. We're going fully visual, but if you are on audio, we've got Luke Colwell coming in. Luke from Quit Your 9 Till 5. Let's go. If you found me, chances are you've found him as well. So he and I, we've been pals pretty much a couple of months since I got started. He's such a lovely, lovely guy. But what we get from Luke in this interview is him opening up about the challenges he's had with his mental health. And by the time this episode is out, his own podcast, Panic, will be live, which I thoroughly, thoroughly recommend. It raises awareness on all things mental health, particularly in men. I can't recommend it enough, but Luke's going to be on here next week and he's going to be sharing it, including his own journey, which we don't hear often enough, by the way. So watch out for next week's. Meantime, here comes the voiceover. Here comes the music. You know what to do. Like, follow, subscribe. Please, please, please share this with your friends, because come on, let's get these numbers up. That'll be lovely. Take care. See you next week.
Be sure to join us next time for another dose of inspiration and insights into e-commerce and entrepreneurship. And who knows, by then, Des may well have finished that love project. And always remember, it's time to say goodbye, poor. Hello, rich. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. We know times are tough right now, and if you are struggling financially, please seek help from an appropriate organisation. We've included a link to the Citizens Advice Bureau in the show notes. Remember, you should always consult with a qualified professional before making any significant financial decisions.